common man. Common man, charms the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello.
Yes! No! Stop!
San Diego, Superchargers, San Diego, Superchargers, San Diego, Superchargers. Now what is it? What do you think of that? Superchargers, San Diego, Superchargers, Superchargers, San Diego, Superchargers. What a big about that?
Lowercase d's.
What a snag!
Yeah, I always love that one.
And that's ridiculous.
We can't start winning until we stop losing.
We're the state of hockey, and I think that proves it, so.
Time for 2 more questions, guys.
Keep playing until someone puts the puck in the net. Lamb on the right side. In the corner, Oleksic. Schmidt now for Oleksic in behind. He centers. Yes! Kyle Schmidt! Dolphins have won the championship! UMD has won the championship! Kyle Schmidt with the game winner! Yeah, baby!
All right, calm down.
Okay, calm down.
Well done, young man.
Well, thank you.
He's the clown from Brown.
Correct.
He's the 4th in the North.
But I'm 12.
This is the common man, Dan Cole.
In Barrett Sports Media's annual major market sports talk show ratings, number 12, 37 people qualified. Some people didn't even qualify. They said, terrible show, terrible station, terrible this, that, lat. So of the 37, I was 12. They released the midday ones, or mid-market, tend to be. The Common Man in Columbus finished second. So the Common Man in Columbus does the Common Man better than the Common Man does the Common Man, and I'm the Common Man. He does Common better than I do.
You've got to be kidding me.
Of course, get to the big city, kid, and get back to it. Can you hit the horn? Hit it for me. Thank you. Get to the big city, kid, and get back.
That's cute that you can meet up in the Class A competition when you step up to Double A.
Yes, step up.
Why don't you opt up?
Yeah, opt up. Why don't you opt up is what we'd like to say. In the open there, no 2 opens are exactly alike on the Common Man program. Oh, it's the wrong one. I'm trying to type into this computer to get the log up, right? And I'm typing the wrong one. It's like because I got 2 keyboard pads, and I really do think I'm starting to lose it. I already have.
Starting? Yeah, I was going to say.
How does that login not work? Anyway, at the very beginning, you played a number of Baby Brother Peter sound bites. See, they're not all Deuce. Many of them are. And you can always tell the Baby Brother Peter ones because he was really, really young. And periodically over the years, I've had people text me or email me and say, why don't you have Pete on more? Does Pete feel like left out? Does he feel ignored? Does he feel neglected? And I say, no, it's just the opposite. I have 2 children with my wife, my lovely wife, Potato. It's my first wife. My second wife hasn't been born yet. And did I tell you I checked all my New Year's resolutions? And not only have I broken all those, but 7 of the 10 commandments as well. So your kids sometimes take personality traits from their parents. For instance, baby brother Peter is very shy and introverted, much like my lovely wife, Potato, right? I've told you this before. When we have like Thanksgiving over at my brother's house, Pete just sits in the corner and doesn't say a word unless he's asked something. He just doesn't have anything to say. I think maybe he's smart. He's the smartest guy in the room, maybe, too. And he's just, he's like, oh, it's the Cole family humor again. Do I really have to go through this, right? Me and my brother and sister and all the other family members yucking it up. And there, he's probably just
telling the same jokes over and over and over again.
He's just rolling his eyes, shrugging his shoulders, and shaking his head. Meanwhile, Deuce, much like his old man, he's in love with the sound of his own voice, right? He just can't, he hasn't found a microphone or anything that would attract attention to himself. So Deuce was into it. Baby brother Peter never wanted to do it. Have you ever watched the video when Deuce sings Hall & Oates? That's on YouTube. It's the entire Kiss on My List song. And by the time it gets to like the 3-minute mark, Deuce says, all right, can I stop now? And I go, no, keep going. And then Pete's crying in the background because I don't know if Pete's jealous or if he's mad at Deuce, but so just to let you know, baby brother Peter is not feeling neglected. He wants nothing to do with being on the Common Man program. Matter of fact, it's funny. Anytime he'll meet somebody, he goes, so what's it like listening to your dad on the radio? And he just says, I don't listen. What do you mean? Well, I don't listen to him. I get enough of it at home. He tells him I don't need to get it from the radio. I already know the whole routine and the whole thing. Yesterday, Tenneby, I kind of went after the Vikings a little bit. Went after Sam Darnold has an arm, E-I-E-I-O. He's a free agent here and a free agent there. Well, he's not a free agent. He's about to be released, I think. Does that make him a free agent?
Well, he's not going to be released. It's just his contract's going to
right. Yeah, well, basically.
Expire.
Expire. That's kind of the same thing, but I guess you're right. Technically, he's not really being released. But, and I blame KOC and Justin Jefferson, and you blame the interior of the offensive line for why we're not in New Orleans. Because had the Vikings gone to the big game, we don't have a lot of tactical here, but football is king. The purple reigns supreme, national treasure, everything, right? So we would have, all 4 shows would have been in New Orleans, and you and I would have been golfing every day. I mean, the tee time started at 6:40. You and I, 6:40, 7:40, 8:40, 9:40, 10 o'clock, we're done, right?
Yeah.
Easily. Plenty of time to get over to wherever we're broadcasting from and do the show and get in and
sitting
get
on
out.
the patio of the clubhouse.
It's just so much fun. And then I thought, okay, well, again, I'm sure they feel bad that we're not there. I'm sure that's, on their list of disappointments, one of them is we didn't get the fan guys to get golfing down in New Orleans. I'm sure a lot of them have that on their top 10 list, right? But actually now I'm pointing the finger at Chad Abbott, the program director.
Really?
Well, we could be on Radio Row right now. There's nothing to prevent us.
Sure. Any
radio station that wants to, sports station, can apply for credentials in space. We did it once when the big game. Remember when we were hosting the big game in 2017? And remember we had a pretty good football team that year. And remember the slogan became, "Bring it home."
Yeah.
Well, then it became Watch from Home, but that's a whole other story in itself. But we were there on Radio Row at MOA, Mall of America, for the big game. It was kind of fun. You and I didn't do radio. Remember, we were at, was it an electronics show? We were at Radio Shack?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, because we walked by Radio Row. Yeah, but we didn't do a show there. But yes, we walked by, saw all the buzz going on, basically all the people on that list.
Yes.
That's ahead of you in the top 12 there. They were all there.
They were all there. The Barrett Sports Radio people. Every one of them was there. And then we were at some kind of electronics, or we actually had a better gig than it. It was quiet. They brought players to us.
Yeah.
Including Lieber came by. You and I did. You got gifted a headset, didn't you? I did.
Yes.
All of a sudden, I got a J&B beautiful headset. I said, hey, we'll come back tomorrow if you want, right? It was much better than being out on Radio Row. But all that being said, we could have been in New Orleans. We could have kept all of those tee times. But Abbott doesn't think it's worth being there. I mean, think about it. Think of who we could be talking to. Just a list of some of the people that were available today to interview with you. Gene Steratore. How much fun would it have been to have Gene Steratore on with us today?
Boy.
How insightful would that be? I mean, what would we do? Just play a bunch of replays and then ask Gene what he thought of them to analyze them for us? We could have had Gene Steratore. You know who else they had? Jeff Saturday. And they had him on a Thursday, which is really amazing. Jeff Saturday on a Thursday. Hey-oh!
And then when he comes on, you'd go S-A-T-U-R-D-A-Y.
Night. We could have played that. Of course, we'd have to take that music part out of the podcast.
Correct.
Because it's it's licensed music. But we could have played that. Or we could have played Saturday. And it would have been so much fun. Oh, he would have been insightful too. Jeff Saturday would have been great. And then think about this. We could have, I saw Amon Green was there. I mean, think about it.
Oh, boy.
And we could have had Amon Green on. I mean, just think of all the tales he could tell and how much fun. We'd probably have to keep him for a second segment. Hey, could you wait a while? The only problem is that every guy that comes to your broadcast space, he's promoting something.
Yes.
And so he's got to be able to get that, which is fine. I mean, we're all about advertising. But you're only given
He's reporting,
you got 6 minutes. You have 6 minutes with him because he's got to go to the next spot and the next spot. And then so you get him.
And 2 of the 6 minutes is talking about a shaving cream that he's endorsing.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
And instead of looking forward to Gene Steratore, Jeff Saturday, or Amon Green, we have Mark Rosen to look forward to it.
Oh, boy.
It's like, Abbott, it's your fault. It's your fault. We'll break. We'll come back. Tennessee, you got a keyword for us?
I do. The Fan wants to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword bonus at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is bonus. Enter now at KFAN.com. Host of the Bad Friends podcast and comedian Andrew Santino is coming to the Pantages Theater this month. Tickets for the 9:30 p.m. show on the 21st are still available. For full details, head over to KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Barry Manilow, Liberace, live in concert, along with Megadeth and Metallica. Alice Cooper, too. It's a couple 13-14 past. I'm Common. He's Tennessee, as mentioned. Rosen at 2. Big Ticket JG at 3. For a little of this, dat, lat. Time for Peek at the Poiple. Peek at the Poiple. Brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. Affordable-electric.com. 24-hour or same-day service. Reach out to them today for all your electrical needs. And by the way, with winter it's going to get really, really cold. They do electric baseboards. They can put electric heating in your floors. Make sure to take care of your plumbing pipes so they don't burst. We're going to get down to 16 below next Tuesday night, regardless of what day it is. So if you have some concerns about that, go ahead and reach out to Nick and Teresa at Affordable Electric. Affordable-electric.com. And always keep this in mind. This is the truth, the whole truth, or at least some semblance of the truth. Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. It looks like Tennessee. Sorry, I just lost my page. It looks like the Minnesota Vikings are losing an assistant coach. According to the Fish Wrap Factory West Side, it says the Jacksonville Jaguars have agreed to terms with Vikings assistant coach Grant Udinsky to be their offensive coordinator. He spent 3 seasons with the Purple, starting as an assistant to the head coach / special projects in 2022, before being promoted to assistant quarterbacks coach in 2023 and working alongside Josh McCown in the role in 2024. This will be his first coordinator role. I'm looking at this career progression form, or at least, titles, assignments, jobs within the Vikings. It says he started as an assistant to the head coach, special projects, before being promoted to assistant quarterbacks coach. Wouldn't you think being assistant to the head coach is a little farther up the food chain? It sounds like to me like he got a demotion. Hey, I'm the assistant to the head coach. I'm the right-hand man. I'm riding shotgun with KOC. And all of a sudden say, we'd like you in a different car. I want you to ride shotgun with Josh McCown. That's what it seems like to me, but what do I know? But if you'll remember yesterday, Tennessee, several people texted Common at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, 64686, going, what if Ben Johnson was the reason for the Lions' success? What if Aaron Glenn was the reason for the Lions' success? Because they lost both their coordinators. Well, I have a question for those Viking fans. What if Grant Udinsky was the reason for the Vikings' success?
Oh my gosh.
He was assistant quarterbacks coach, and we saw what Darnold did. Maybe it's Udinsky's the quarterback whisperer.
He's the quarterback whisperer.
Well, he could be. Maybe McCown is. I mean, as the head coach, you got a lot on your plate, So I'm sure, he's worked a little bit with Darnold, but I'm thinking it's all McCown and Udinsky. I think now maybe the Vikings are in big trouble. That's the same flawed logic.
Yeah.
Basically, that people have. But so he's gone. And it is what it is. I'm sure he'll, and good for him.
As we explained yesterday, most of the intention when people doing that are not based off of logic; it's based off of hope.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And I understand, if you're, as a Viking fan, and I'm one of them. Trust you and I have gone through the same thing. It always seems like. And it's not, Green Bay's not always successful everywhere. They don't win every big game. They don't win the NFC. They don't get to the NFC Championship game every year. They don't always win the division. But they've just had better things happen to them in the history of that franchise. And even recent history, as far as since the Vikings have been around. Yeah, we got when they were really good back in the 20s, 30s, 40s. But, in the 60s, they won those 3 in a row. They won they won an NFL championship in 65 and then 66, 67, or however you want to do those years. The regular season ends and then the big game is the following calendar year. But the Packers won 3 in a row. And then since then, Favre won 1 and A-Rod won 1, and we never have. And so it's always been it's always been that roadblock, that big brother that we can't knock the chip off the shoulder has been the Green Bay Packers. And now all of a sudden out of nowhere, the team we could always beat up on, right?
Yeah.
I've used this example before. Are you familiar with the book Frankenstein by Mary Shelley? It was written back in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, right about the time they were building the pyramids in Egypt. And then Frankenstein was, the book was turned into a movie in 1931, starring Boris Karloff as the monster. I think Clive. I can't remember who played Dr. Frankenstein. His first name was Clive. And in that movie, Dr. Frankenstein would pick on Igor, his assistant, and then Igor would take out his frustrations on the monster. He'd bully him. So that's what we would do. Viking fans, we were the Igor. And Dr. Frankenstein was the Packers. And they would pick on us and beat up on us, and it was awful. We just couldn't stand it. We hate the Packers and hate everything about the frozen tundra of Philadelphia. But then we always had the kiddies to kick around, right?
Yep.
Oh, you know what?
Always someone to make us feel better.
That's exactly right. And now I think that's the fear people have is good as the line. Now the Lions, again, they got dumped in the NFC Championship game last year. I mean, that was as big a collapse as you'll ever see. They were up 24-7 at the half and lost to San Fran. And then, I was stunned and shocked when they got beat by Washington. I don't know how you felt about it, but I couldn't. I thought that was almost a gimme game for me. That Lions defense is really good. But, and I think people, that's like you say, they're hoping, God, I just hope it was all Ben Johnson. Because now you got Green Bay still pretty darn good. Right? And then you've got the Lions. If the Lions are good, now Ben Johnson goes over to... Matter of fact, if you're worried about Ben Johnson, you should now be worried about the Bears. Right? It's not like he left the division. Now you'd have, not only do you have the Lions to worry about, but if you think Ben Johnson meant that much to the Lions, what do you think he'll do when he's got Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know this yet because I think most people feel like Caleb Williams underachieved, and he probably did. But he just looks like he's got a chance to be, career-wise, a little better than Goff, right? Just because he can run a little bit.
He's got some tools.
He's got some tools he can work with. So I think you better start worrying about... I'd be worried about the Bears a little bit now. Now it's still early. We don't know what kind of a head coach he'll be. You know, we've talked about this before. So many times when someone gets a head coaching job, especially if it's their very first, like in the case of Ben Johnson, if you're going to Carolina, you know, and they won 2 games. I don't know what their record was, but when the team is, well, you're going to a team that there's really not much there. So it's probably going to be, you're going to have to work some real magic in order to get that team going. And then if the team doesn't play very well, and let's say in the 3 years you're there, you never get to the postseason play, well, obviously he can't coach. He ain't any good. We made a mistake there. Go back to coordinating. I said, well, I didn't have anything to work with. There's nothing there. GM, why don't you look in the mirror? It's you. You didn't give me any tools to work with. You can't make a silk purse out of a cow's ear. You can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. Give me something to work with. Sure, they've probably come up to you, tend to be, and said, your producing skills aren't very good. And you probably said, well, give me something to work with.
I always love that.
Clown on the other side of the glass just comes in and wings it every day. We never talk. We don't plan anything out. Right?
Have you been listening in on my conversations?
Well, you know, I can understand that.
Well, that's why, like, there are some segment of the Vikings fan base that do the old KOC's never won in the playoffs. And I'm thinking to myself, well, is he not a good enough coach to win in the playoffs, or is he over-coaching these guys in the regular season? A team that's just, like, the teams aren't that talented, but he's finding a way to get them there, right? Like, how do you evaluate that? How do you judge that?
It is hard to judge. You know, it's more complicated than just wins and losses. Though, as we know, at the end of the day, it is wins and losses. How many games do you win? And then, more than anything, it's how many games do you win in the postseason? That's how guys are generally judged. We'll pause. We'll come back. I have some more controversial Vikings news. And other topics to get to as well. My guy got traded. I have a new favorite to represent the NBA's Western Conference in the NBA Finals. We'll get to all of that and more. Common Man program on the Fan.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make a voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryan text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He is 10 and B. We're giving away another 5-iron golf $100 gift card before the program is over today. 5-iron golf is in the North Loop. We talked earlier about social event of the season, the grand opening tonight. I'll be there from 5 until 7. You know, we'd asked people to RSVP. The general manager at 5-iron golf, I sent him a text today. And I said, earlier this morning. I said, so how many RSVPs have you gotten? And he says, 230. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Two things crossed my mind. Above average at that. He actually put a 0 at the end. It was 23. Right? Or people may have misunderstood the message and thought the Power Trip morning show was going to be at 5-iron golf tonight. It's not the Power Trip. It's me, the Common Man. The best, the lousiest, lousy best, the official and unofficial ambassador of Minnesota Golf. How many of those 230 will show, though? That's the problem. What's your guess? 23, 2:30. Yeah, I mean, I'm just stunned. And, and again, I know everybody's thinking I'm doing this just so I can. Matter of fact, I actually put it this way. But I'm really not. It was just, I want to thank all 230 people. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Copyright Steve Martin. I know this may be a PST. It's too late for this. I'm humbled by the response. People would actually want to come out and see the Common Man. I'm assuming you're one of the.
Is it they want to see the Common Man, or they just want to see 5-iron golf?
I think they just want to see 5-iron golf, or maybe they want to see tennis. Because I thought you said you were coming, right?
What time is it?
Oh, it's 5 to 7.
Oh, no, I'm busy during that time.
What a bad break
Lots
for you.
of socks to sort tonight.
Yeah, that's a bad break for you. So we'll be there tonight. Hope to see you there. It'll be a lot of fun. My guy, Jimmy Butler, Tennessee, he finally found somebody that wants him. How long will it take him to destroy the morale at in this organization? I don't know, because he's done it every. It's a scorched earth policy with Jimmy Butler. Once he's feels like. Ask not what Jimmy Butler can do for you, but what can you do for Jimmy Butler? Once he feels like you can't do anything for him anymore, he just leaves us. It's the scorcher. He leaves nothing in his wake. It's just this franchise got set back. What? Well, you really can't set the Wolves back any further than they were at that point, right? It's not like this. They were already terrible anyway. And he goes to Miami, and I think he did some nice things there, didn't they? As an 8 upset a 1, or I got it wrong. I think
that's correct.
I think he's the guy. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame basketball player.
They got to an NBA Finals with him.
That's exactly right. Got suspended not once, not twice, but 3 times by Pat 3-Pete O'Reilly. No, not O'Reilly. Isn't it Riley who trademarked 3-Pete?
Yes.
And they've already sent out. I was reading a story. I think if Kansas City has any hats made up or T-shirts that say 3-Pete.
Gets a chunk of it.
He gets a chunk of that.
What a genius.
Yeah, it is really smart. I wish I would have trademarked the Horn has been reborn, because that's really caught on. A lot of people were using that. What if I would have trademarked that? Think of all the money I would have made. What if anybody trademarked the Roar has been restored? They lost money for decades. It's just nobody was using the Roar has been restored. Butler, apparently, I think is he like the bridesmaid though to Durantula? Because weren't the rumors that Golden State actually wanted Durantula to make his triumphant return?
Well, they were flirting with Butler first, it seemed like, and then Durantula, and then went back to Butler.
And the reason Butler, I think maybe what kind of stalled any type of marriage there, or at least a date. He didn't want to get married; he just wanted to date. Basically is what he said. I'm not going to sign a long-term deal. I'm not going to sign an extension. And the Golden State said, well, we don't want to make a trade then. Well, then it got to the point where they couldn't get Durantula, and it was like, well, you got to think Steph probably has as much pull within that organization as LeBron has with the Lakers, right? I mean, Steph's he's been the one constant, right? Look at the other Splash brother he played a very important role there. Draymond did. Durantula during the year. Did Durantula win just one title there with him? I think it was only one, maybe even 2. But Iguodala and other players, they've had, and obviously the coach there is really good at what he does too. So I would think that, Steph's got to kind of, they probably go to him. I mean, does he have the final word? Probably not, but they probably go, Steph, this is what we're thinking. And you would think with Steph, how old is he now? He's been in the league quite some time. He has 4 championship rings. So it's like, I guess I would compare him sort of, maybe this isn't.
He's 36.
36. This might not be the best analogy, but it's sort of like Tommy Brady. He won 6 and then he left and won another one. And that's what these guys play for. That's what Mahomes is playing for now, right? They play for titles. Steph's not playing to win the NBA early. What is it called? The NBA Cup? He doesn't play to win the NBA Cup.
No.
Doesn't do anything for him. I don't think he cares about all-star games anymore. I don't think he cares about, I don't think they do an all-pro team, all-NBA team probably. I don't think he cares about that. I think for him, it's what gets his motor run and heading down the hardwood, I think is probably playoffs, being in playoff basketball and making a run to win the Western Conference Finals and get to the NBA Finals and add to his collection of rings. MJ, is he the most, or is he 6? Is there more? No, we got like Bill Russell or something's won like 11, I think, right? But if these modern day guys, the guys, the guys that we associate a little bit more with, even me, a boomer, doesn't associate with Bill Russell much. How many did Jabbar get? How many did McHale and those guys get? I forget. I certainly got 2 or 3.
I know anyway. Robert Horry wasn't like the guy ever, but he won.
Yeah, he won a number of them. He won a ton of them. And so my guess is Steph. So they probably ran it by Steph, and the entire organization wants to win world championships. Hey, we got the 6th seed and got out of the first round. We got beat. What a great season! That's abject failure in Golden State.
So Bill Russell's won 11.
Right.
Something called Sam Jones, who looks like he was on most of those Celtics teams, has won 10.
Yep.
And then basically the next. Tom Hyson, Casey Jones, Satch Sanders, John Havlicek, they were all on those Celtic teams.
And how many?
They've won 8.
Okay.
And then Jim Loskatoff.
I was, what? He was my idol growing up.
Frank Ramsey. They've won 7. They were on a bunch of those Celtics teams. When you get away from the Celtics teams, Robert Horry won 7. Bob Cousy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen all won 6.
Yeah. So LeBron's at 4.
One of us is there with 5. George Mikan.
Yeah. Those are those early Laker days. They had no idea what a Euro step was back then. Wasn't even a phrase. Euro step. When did Euro step first become a word in the English language? Well, because it was first a word in the European language. They called it the Euro. So you had the Euro step, and now I think it was Greek hero step. And then, again, I would. This would probably be better for Minnesota Timberwolves superfan Dan Barrero. He's part of the basketball community. Back in those days, how many teams we have in the NBA now? Same thing. It's 32 teams we have, or 30. Back when Tommy Heinsohn and those other old Celtics players that you mentioned their names, I mean, how many teams were there then? 10? Still have to win. I mean, it's still, the talent's more condensed, so you probably got really quality teams, but
it's different.
But it is different than it is now. But yeah, my guess is Steph wants a title, and that's why the franchise does, and that's why I'm still a Jimmy Butler guy. Look, I get it. I mean, he can be difficult, apparently. I think, though, he's well-intentioned for the most part. I think it's because he wants to win, and he wants to win now. And he doesn't like when he sees... I know part of it was probably the money that, Big Meow was the max player, and who else? Wiggins?
Andrew Wiggins, who he got traded for in this trade.
And you're like... And at the time, I mean, to this day, now, in Bodega Cat's career isn't over, and neither is Andy Wiggins. But if you right now said of those 3 players who was the best in the NBA, it's Jimmy Butler, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it seems like if you feel about Jimmy Butler, as many people do, I get pushback all the time from people. He's a cancer on the team. He's a troublemaker. He's a baby. Why? Okay, I guess. But he wins. And I think the players that play with him do respect him. And I think that because of Golden State's pedigree, that winning a championship is all that matters. And they were going to go out and get somebody. And if maybe they wanted Durant, I think you said you think they maybe went for, I don't remember the order, but let's say it was. They wanted Butler. Why? Because they know he's a great, in postseason play, he's been really, really good, if I'm not mistaken. And so they want to win a championship, and they know it's really hard to get through the West. The Lakers, I mean, I don't know if Doncic moving to the Lakers makes them. I mean, he's a top 3 offensive player in the league. He needs to mix in a salad, apparently, occasionally, and he needs to play defense better. But I would think if I'm a Lakers fan or just an NBA observer, I now put them in the mix as a team that could make some noise in postseason play, right? Because I think LeBron's still got a little bit left. They got some other nice pieces on the club. I was talking
if you get in, Luka alone can carry you offensively for an entire series.
Yes. Oklahoma, OKC, we discussed them a little bit the other day. Defensively, they're really good. But the only thing they have offensively really is SGA. There's other guys that can score a little bit, but he is their main force, and he's got to score. And they get Holmgren back, but that's a really good team in the West. And I was talking to Big Ticket about this, in the changing of the guard when we passed the baton from the warm-up show to the main event. Talked about how good San Antonio is probably going to be in the future because De'Aaron Fox is really good. And you mix him with Wembanyama, and they got another really talented kid, and his name escapes me, but they're going to be a really good team in the future. I don't know if it's going to happen right away. That's going to be a good team, but Golden State wants to win, and they want to win now. And I wouldn't discount them as being a factor if Jimmy Butler plays like he's capable of. We know Steph can still put it in the basket. So it's and you know what, Tennessee? Countdown's on. Is the clock ticking on ESPN right now? Do they have it in the upper hand corner? Do you have ESPN?
I do have ESPN on.
Do they have it in the corner of the screen, left corner, where they countdown to the NBA trade? Because it's 2:00 today. Right?
They are doing a trade deadline special right now.
Okay.
The Raptors apparently just acquired Brandon Ingram in a trade from the Pelicans.
Ooh.
Pelicans get Bruce Brown, Ken Olnick, and then a first and second round pick.
Ask me if I can tell you anything about those players.
Do you know anything about those players?
No, I've never heard of them. You could have told me that was a trade in the National Football League, and I said, hey, it's good for them. I don't know who they are. I mean, I know the Olnick name, and the other guy what was his name, Ingram?
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard of him, but I can't tell you who got the better of the deal, grade the trade in the NBA and the National Basketball, so I don't know how to grade those trades. I do know how I would grade what I think Golden State certainly helped themselves for this year.
And responding to the Jimmy Butler is a cancer.
Yep.
Not good for your culture. Long term, I wouldn't disagree with that, right? He tends to burn a lot of bridges by the time he gets out of there. But in the short term, for a year or two, he's usually a pretty good soldier, and he's a pretty darn good player in that situation. Yeah. And to your point earlier, Steph Curry's 36. You got a short little window here to finish it off. They are in win now mode, and even though they're right now 11th in the West, but they ain't playing for 4 or 5 years down the road because they know they're going to be in complete rebuild mode by that time anyway.
Yes, that's
so try to make one last run at it.
Here's a text message coming in. Common, the Warriors gave way too much up for Jimmy B. He's 36 and almost washed up. Plus, he's a diva. I like divas. I like guys that got have an ego. It's what makes them so good. Here's another one. Common, you're kind of like Jimmy Butler. Terrific work ethic, always makes others around you better. I would agree with that. This one says agree. He says Jimmy's a cancer. Keep hitting from the ladies' tees. Well, he got me there.
Oh, he really needled you on that one, huh?
You know what that one is? He hears me do wheel of topic every day, and he's jealous that he can't play golf every day. It doesn't have the talent level that I do.
Yeah.
That's okay. I get it. I mean, it's like I'm very comfortable with where I've been, where I'm going, and where I'm at. Matter of fact, if you want to see it for yourself tonight, I'll be hitting knockdown, punch, cut, fade draws. The way we're going to do it is we're going to do a closest to the pin. We're going to select like number 7 at Pebble Beach. We'll do that one for a half hour, then we're going to switch. So, and I was talking to Tony, who's the GM there, and that might be some people. It might end up being maybe even a little unfair because what if at Pebble I knock it into 3 feet, but then we play another par 3 and I hit it to 40 feet. So now you have a lot. But that's just how it goes. It's called luck of the draw.
It's just the way it is.
It's like some things will never change. It's like in PGA golf. Like, you might get the morning draw and the weather's perfect, and then the afternoon the winds pick up and the rains come in, and it's a struggle to play. The conditions are much different. So, someone said that the Lakers went from plus 400 to plus 1,800 to win the title. So they did. I mean, that you get that kind of a player, you are. Well, here's another one. Comment: if Cat ever pulled any of the little Jimmy Buckets games, tricks, pouts, fake injuries, he would have been run out of town. He's a cancer and has never won anything. All right, well, go ahead. That's how you feel. It's obviously it's. Here's what I'll tell you. Obviously, Golden State doesn't think that, or else they're at least willing to overlook it to get to a title, and they know that he will give them that opportunity. So you can say he is all of the above, and I didn't deny it. I said it earlier. It can be difficult to get along with, but he's been successful everywhere he's gone. Has he won an NBA title? I guess not. Not everybody does. They don't all win them. It's hard. It's hard to win world championships. I mean,
has he played with a guy like Steph, though?
Well, that's it. I don't know if he's ever played with anybody that good. I think people will be surprised how good. Plus, Jimmy's a gamer. That's what I like about Jimmy. Yeah. He's a gamer. I like gamers.
And he can play defense.
And he can play defense, too. He's as... I know he's 36 now. He's probably not. There was a time he was a top 10 player in the league for years. Just was. And if you don't agree with that, then you don't know basketball. And that's okay if you don't, because not everybody can see as clearly as people like Tenneby and I can. But he was a top 10 player, and I endorse that trade 100% of the time. Now Ron from Golden Valley, he's back at it again. He was the one I just read. He goes, Tenna, he only plays 60% of the games even when he's healthy. Call that load management and skip games. The Timberwolves were a skip game. Why would you play during a skip game? We all talk, all the NBA players talk about how grueling the schedule is. The media does, the fans do. Grueling schedule, travel, this, that, and that. Well, then what you do is your best. You want your best, when you know you're a playoff team, you want your best players ready to go with plenty of rest. Mm-hmm. I don't always agree with that. I think you can do I think players, Ant's got the right attitude. Now, he's also only 23 years old. But Ant says he wants to play each and every game. He doesn't want no load management. I'm not going to play. I am not going to rest. It's not going to do that. And so, yeah, I think it's a good trade. As we watch the trade deadline, I think we've discussed this. I don't think the Wolves are going to, I don't know what. Again, I don't understand all the luxury tax and the aprons and the matching salaries and this, that. It's just, that's way, I don't want to think that hard because it doesn't matter enough to me, right? I just don't care enough. When they announce the trade, they'll announce the trade if there is one. I don't speculate. But from the people I trust and talking to some people and reading some things, it doesn't seem like it's in the cards that between now and just over an hour from now, hour 5 minutes, hour 4 minutes, and 55 seconds, 54 seconds, 53 seconds, when the NBA trade deadline expires. I don't think the Timberwolves are going to have made a trade. I just don't think it's in the cards for them. I do know either tomorrow or Monday, Tenneby. Were you going to ask this in 534?
Yes, that was what I was going to tease, actually.
Well, why don't you tease? Because there could be some. Speaking of Timberwolves news, there might be some controversial Timberwolves news coming up, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the Timberwolves owners' war may soon come to an end.